Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Through the Fire and the SBN Small Business Network podcast. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we have a very, very special guest. He is the founder of Depth Healing Technology, Dr. G. Rex Crewley. How you doing today, Dr. Rex?
I'm very happy and proud to be here. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Hey, it is my pleasure to have you on here. Like I said, I was looking over your bio and everything before when we matched up, and I was like, man, you have a very wide array skill set.
Thank you.
So the number one question the audience probably has is, who is Dr. Rex Crewley?
Okay. Well, I'm a little bit of a different kind of a guy. When I was born, by the age of 3, I was completely aware of why I was born, what my purpose was. And then the rest of my life, I'm almost 70 now, and the rest of my life was developing into that person that I was born for, the work I was born for. And the work I'm born for is helping humanity and saving people, saving life on Earth, all of that big arena. That's what I was for. So I'm fundamentally a service person. So if you think of my first about 46 years, I'm a martial specialist. I carry 3 samurai lineages on my shoulders, and I trained. I trained as a professional martial artist to pass the craft on. I didn't train for me, for trophies or to be a champion or something. And I trained, a few thousand people probably. I taught the military, police, a lot of first responders, and scientists, and all kinds of Silicon Valley execs. That was my profession then. And then when I was in my late 40s, I left professional martial craft as a teaching profession, and I became a licensed doctor. I was licensed in Georgia and Tennessee. And during, when I moved to, after I graduated, I was initiated into distance healing. So I mastered, over the years, I mastered several different types of martial healing systems, and then that are related to quantum physics and consciousness. And then I'm a Zen trained professional swordsman. So everything's all came together around 2012. And at that time, I really entered mysticism's path through oneness with the great avatar Sri Alma Bhagavan. So I have empowerments for my work through Tibet, India, and Japan. And everything all came together. The stuff that I do is not taught, and I couldn't learn any of that. All of this is channeled. So I'm like a relay station. So when you're listening to this podcast or you look me up, I don't have any kind of power. Power is called, in India, we call Siddhi. I don't have any power, but I'm a relay station, and I'm a fairly sophisticated relay station. So when I work on people's lives or their body or whatever, I'm doing that from my home here in Thailand with surgical precision. So I can say that at this point in time. And then I founded Depth Healing, which is a transfer of, you can call it like a system of applied quantum physics through consciousness. And with that methodology, which is all founded in frequencies and so forth, I'm able to fix your body, change your life, remove post-traumatic stress syndrome, heal your heart, whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is to me, because I operate at the quantum causal level. So I don't require, it's not necessary for me to touch you or to give you a substance or anything like that. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you gave us a lot to unpack right there. So, like, number one question is, like, what do you mean by, like, you're just a relay station?
Okay, so that's an important concept to understand. One of the easiest examples is, in the old days, I was a Reiki master. What does Reiki do? Reiki is an energy transfer system where the practitioner is going to work on a person, and they have to put their hands on the person. And then they call in the frequency, different types of healing frequencies. Most Reiki deal with 3 different frequencies for, it's like 3 different levels of intensity you can think of. And that energy comes through them into the client. So it has to be able to pass through the practitioner into the client. And in order to do that, the practitioner goes through a process so that their nervous system and their subtle body, we call pranayama kosha, the energy body, is conditioned to carry that heavy, stronger frequency. If they're not conditioned properly, when they go to channel it, it can damage them. It can hurt them. Energy is nothing to play with. In my case, I can channel energy like that. I've been conditioned and empowered to do that. And I can channel, and I do channel the divine directly. So if you're connected to Jesus, Jesus can use me to come through at an extra strong intensity. Or I have empowerments that I was recently given for prayer, so that your life is rewritten, or any degree of physical miracle will occur. And that's more complicated, because that has to do with your relation with God, and then your karma, and there's a lot of complications there. So the prayers will be answered if they're sincere, but the only thing we don't know there is the time. We don't have any idea or control over when it will be answered. When I'm working on physiology, your physiology will change in real time. So, like, say somebody calls me up from Rome, and they have a migraine headache, I can remove it in 1 minute or less, and it's instantaneous. I just change. I remove the cause of the headache, and then it's gone. And if they have mental blocks or financial blocks, if we locate it in their subconscious field, I can disintegrate it. And when I disintegrate it, the brain will rearrange, reorganize. That changes their perception, and perception gives you your life, your outer reality. So it's there's a lot to it, but I've been doing it for a long time, and I just tie into my client, and then I can talk to their field directly, and I can talk to it with a very high degree of surgical accuracy.
Oh, that's fascinating. So one thing that kind of drew me to, like, your story was, like you healed a broken spine through meditation. How did you do that?
Yeah, that's actually a lot easier than you think. Both myself and then one of my contemporaries is Joe Dispenza, Dr. Dispenza. So in Joe's case, him and I are both chiropractors. there's about 250 different kinds of chiropractic. Joe is a Gonstead man. So Gonstead is like a structural engineer of the skeleton and bone structure. I'm a network chiropractor, which deals with the higher cortical areas of the brain and consciousness. So a very, very different approach. Now, we both broke our back. He was run over by a truck. His is more complicated because the spine was crushed. The bone structure, some of the bone went embedded right in the spinal cord. That's really bad. My break happened during weight training, and both pedicles on both sides of my fifth lumbar vertebra broke in half, and then my spine, the whole spine, if you think like a pillar, it slid forward to the frontal edge of my sacrum, the sacral promontory. It's like a ledge. That's not good.
Yeah.
So what happened was George Goodhart Jr. and his boys, two of his boys that were world-class doctors, chiropractors, they adjusted me so that they're both very strong men, Dr. Alan Zakin and Dr. Lou Boven. And each one of them went to my arms at my armpits, the other at my ankles. And on the count of three, they ballistically distracted me. 1, 2, 3, and they pop, pull. And the spinal column, you could hear it fall into place. After they did that, I used a meditation method that was developed by Jose Silva. You may have heard of the Jose Silva mind control method. And I used a cybernetic principle. If you read the book, Psycho-Cybernetics, Book 1, by Maxwell Maltz. And all you do is all power, all control, all everything it has nothing to do with your frontal part of your brain. It's all in the subconscious. And the subconscious is continuous with the unconscious, and it goes in layers, which connects to the all that is. Now, what I do with the cybernetic principle, all you got to do is, it's like a homing missile. A homing missile has a target, and then it's going to go to that target. And if the target moves, the missile is designed to self-adjust and correct. So what you do, you give your subconscious mind a picture. You have to make the picture. The difficulty in meditation is making the picture. You have to imprint a picture of the body you want. So in my case, my back, and in Joe's case, back is normal, into the subconscious mind. Once the picture is there, the subconscious mind has one big job. It has to make, and it will make, you fit the picture. Tony Robbins teaches this all the time with his NLP approach when he's talking about self-image. And you will never surpass or go or change anything other than the self-image, the blueprint. The blueprint is changeable. So I imprinted, because I couldn't go anywhere. I was crippled. I was an ambulatory cripple, but I was crippled at home. I lived with my mom. I was 27. So I have nowhere to go. And Mr. Dispenza was completely bedridden. He left the hospital. He wouldn't let them fuse him, and I wouldn't let nobody operate on me either. So I would meditate like 4 hours a day. And all I did, I was a professional martial artist at the time of the accident. So I would kinesthetically, with feeling, go in and reinvent myself that I was in top shape, gymnastic shape. And I would see and feel myself like that every day for 4 hours. And I imprinted that picture. And within 12 weeks, my back was completely sealed, perfectly. Because the subconscious mind doesn't need you to tell it what to do or how to do it. You don't know anyway. But it does everything and knows everything. It just has to have, what is the picture? What's the target? So I did that, and then my back, the healing was verified by CAT scans at Providence Hospital in Michigan under Dr. Sidney Golden. So everything was 100%. I never wore a back brace or anything. That part was easy. Sealing the bone was easy. What was difficult, I had been hurt for a long time. Before they distracted me, a year had gone by. So during that year, my body got very weak. I was in horrific pain, and your nervous system and all the musculature tries to adapt to your injured condition. So after they sealed the bone, then I had to rebuild my entire body. And that took quite a while. That took me 3 years. And I got into Olympian shape. I say Olympian. I was never an Olympian, but I was, you could consider me like in Marine combat shape anyway.
So it's kind of like visualization then, like how you did it was kind of visualizing what you wanted to become, and your mind kind of did all the work for you.
That is exactly how it works. The issue is when you visualize it, they make it sound too easy. It requires intensity. It's got to be done. You have 3 things you have to cover: frequency, duration, and intensity of the meditation or stimulus. The frequency, it's got to be done all the time. The intensity's got to be there. And the most important aspect of the intensity is emotion. Because emotion is that's the frequency, that's the energy. And the picture, the best kind of pictures for visualizing are 3D with color, but I can't do that. So I use kinesthetics. What kinesthetic mean? I just feel it because I know what it feels like. I've done, 50,000 hours of Aikido alone, and then 26. I got a lot of experience, so I know the feeling of being in top shape. And I lock that in with real emotion, because you see, with people like Joe and I, both of us were facing being crippled for the rest of our life. Crippled. And so there's a lot of motivation and to do it. You got to really, visualizing cannot be a casual thing. And that's why most people fail, or they don't get the results they want. It's got to be real intense. So like I said, I was doing like 4 hours a day, because what else am I going to do? I can only lay in the bed, right?
Yeah, you have nothing else to do, so you're like, yeah, might as well. I want to heal.
Oh, when the guy tells you he's going to stick rods in your back and you'll never play sports again as long as you live, and you're facing that, then you get serious.
Yeah.
You get serious. When I developed chest cancer, breast cancer in 2014, and they had to cut that out of me. I had to get serious about removing the anger I grew up with, because it was the anger that created that cancer. And they just cut it out. I know I don't use any medicine or anything, and I'm 100% fine. But it was because I had to get serious about that.
Yeah. So can you explain how your anger caused cancer?
Yeah. It's very simple. It's an exact science. It's called epigenetics, and epigenetics is the thing that matters. Genetics don't mean anything at all. You have about 26,000 genes, and the same number of genes as a worm. Earthworms have 26,000 genes. The trick with genes is they have something like 30,000 different choices each. Now, all a gene is like a book. So your genome is like a library. It doesn't mean nothing. What matters is which book gets read and why. And that comes from the signal. See, the gene, in order for the book to be read, it has to be activated by a signal. And let's make it real simple. You can have a positive signal and you can have a negative signal. Now, the brain of the cell is the membrane. And of course, the king of all of this knowledge is Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, probably the most brilliant microbiologist in the world. He was the one who discovered epigenetics by accident. And the brain of the cell is the membrane. And along the exterior on that cell membrane are, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of little doorways called receptor sites. And each doorway has its own little antenna system. If that doorway gets a positive signal, there are doorways for just positive signals, and there are doorways for negative signals. So if you get positive signals, the little doorway opens up, the signal goes in, and if it's consistent enough, if it's always positive and consistent, the books that are going to be read in the genes are all for health, growth, being happy, being in love, being strong. If the signal that is always hitting the cell is anger, hatred, fear, the nice doorways close and the doorways for the negative frequency open. And they go into the library. And the books they activate over time are cancer, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, degeneration, weakness, depression. So it's all, which is the basis of depth healing, it's all frequencies and it's all signals. When I do a treatment on a client, I use two kinds of frequencies. I have hundreds and hundreds of specifics, but there's two kinds: destructive interference waves and constructive interference waves. So if you go on Google and you look up destructive, constructive interference waves, it's in quantum physics. Destructive interference waves mean that when they meet each other, they cancel to zero. Zero. Constructive is the opposite. When they meet, they expand, they grow. So in my system, I locate your problem, and there will be corresponding destructive interference frequencies that I will channel in there, and I break it down, break it down, break it down. The breakdown process means I'm eliminating everything that's entangled with that problem in your consciousness. I remove them, then I disintegrate it, and it's gone. Period. End of story. Relative to that question. And then I'm always remove, and then I use a constructive interference wave to build your system up. Now, who selects I don't select anything. Remember, I'm a relay station. Your nervous system, your consciousness, your field tells me what to do. I don't select anything. I have a big uh, selection board of my specialized frequencies in front of me, and then it's like mix and match according to the client. Does what I say make sense to you?
Yeah, that's kind of fascinating, though. I mean, to think of how you do it. I mean, so you kind of let the other your patient's body tell you what to do.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So you developed a system called depth healing. Can you explain what this actually is?
Yeah. A long time ago now, I don't know how many years ago, because he passed away, I think about 10 or more years ago, was a gentleman named Ted Morter. Dr. Morter was a very real master level genius chiropractor. And he developed a system called BEST, Bioenergetic Synchronization Technique. And apparently it was originally tested on equine, on horses. Now that is a system extremely complicated, which is channeled by the divine into Dr. Morter. All of the great systems, it's all channeled. Everything is all channeled and downloaded. When you see George Goodhart Jr., that I was with for 16 years, he founded Applied Kinesiology, Donald Epstein for Network Chiropractic, Ted Morter for BEST. Those are all channeled systems. Well, when I moved from after I graduated in Texas, my wife at the time and we moved to Georgia, and in Georgia I met Dr. Larry Habersky. Now Larry is just a peerless master doctor, and I don't know how many systems Doc knows, like something like 40 systems, and he's one of the world's finest, best practitioners. And I met him, and he was the one I studied with him for 8 years. And because I recognized him immediately for who he really was. And I started to absorb everything I could from him regarding consciousness, what cognitive dissonance was. That was why I never had success financially until then. Cognitive dissonance is the primary human problem. And he's a very, very strong mystic, very strongly connected with the divine. So I started to learn the quantum field and consciousness, cognitive dissonance, and how best, what he was doing. Now, best, they have to touch the person's body, mostly create different types of cranial contacts and so forth. But I started to understand the transfer of frequencies. Meanwhile, I was mastering Tibetan Reiki under Kaya Aman in Atlanta, Georgia at the same time. And I had already studied, 40 years of different from other great doctors and so forth. I apprenticed under 4 great doctors. I don't pay any attention to academic education at all. So what happened was depth healing. I had no clue whatsoever about any of this. And I was in my prayer room, my altar room, one day. My wife was at work. She was a physical therapist. And the phone rang, and these people called me from New York City. I'm in Georgia. He had developed MS, and his wife had stage 4 cancer metastasized all through her body. How they found me, I have no idea. I had no advertising and no real practice. I had closed my office, and they called me up. So obviously, Divine made that connection for me. And I said, folks, I don't know what you would want me to do. I'm here, you're there, and all of a sudden the voice the divine said to me directly, no, you can heal them from here. And that's how it all began. And then I already had my frequencies from Dr. Habersky, and I began the process, and I took those two on. The MS was easy to fix, to stop. But her oncologist had convinced her that I was a quack, of course, and she quit, and she died within 1 month. She was gone. I never heard from them again. But that's how depth healing began. And in depth healing to this day, it's all channeled for me. So when someone comes on, I turn it over to the divine, and everything just gets channeled. I have all the tools and the technology, the science, everything inside me, but how to use it happens spontaneously, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. That's kind of fascinating how everything all worked out. I mean, where somebody just got a hold of you out of nowhere that you had no connection with or anything, and you end up healing them of MS, and then the wife who had cancer, listen to the regular doctors, and you know what happens usually when you go to the hospital.
Yeah, that's the life of a mystic. And see, as I told you, I was born for this work. And the big hitter for me is I can do morphic field physics. So what does that mean? That means I can apply this to collectives. I can take hundreds and even a couple thousand people at one time, and I can change the consciousness for the whole group. And I do that every month. I run 2 collectives per month, and then I'm hoping, because I can take professional sports teams in real time and change how they're played in real time. And I can do the same for military personnel or first responders, any kind of team. All I need is the targets, whatever the leader wants to see done. I've done that for boardrooms in big business, where they call me up and they have objectives for the business, and there's discontent or dissonance amongst all of the staff. And I just remove the dissonance from the staff, and then all of a sudden they're a cohesive team. So I have a lot of applications, and I'm especially interested in my morphic field physics, because the world is in dire straits and it needs help.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. So you talked about earlier about cognitive dissonance, and that's the problem with like people's finances and all that. Can you explain on that a little bit more?
You bet. It's the way the way we're designed. The way we are designed is for survival, of course, and all you have to understand is a computer model. And the first guy I ever heard to use that was Bruce Lipton, who I respect. I followed him for over 30 years. So you basically, that's what we are fundamentally, is like a biocomputer. So let's go through that model so you can see it real easy. So we want to have a baby. So mom and dad, let's say they're going to go down to the computer store, and the baby is the computer, and it's in the box. So the box is mom's tummy, and we bring the box home, and we pull the computer out of the box, and so the baby's born. Okay, and then we open up the computer and we turn it on. So they slap the baby's bottom, and he starts crying. And then people want to start using the computer. But what do they have to do? Well, they have to put all the software in. They have to download all kinds of stuff. You can't just turn it on and do everything. You've got to download it all. And those downloads are the software. The software determines what the computer can or can't do. And the software is the subconscious mind. So as a baby, we're downloading everything 24/7, sleeping or awake, in the womb, all the way through to the age of 7, at a rate of 40 million bits of information per second. 40 million bits of information per second. So you're like a vacuum cleaner at an enormous level. And it's, by the time you're 7 years old, if you do the math, it's about 10 quadrillion bits of information. Now, why do we do that? Well, let's say we have 2 children. One is born in Manhattan, New York, in to a real rich family, and the other kid is born in a grass hut on the Amazon Delta in the middle of the jungle. The kid in the jungle has got to get 10 quadrillion bits of very different information to be to survive in the Amazon versus the kid in Manhattan. There's no correlation, of course, whatsoever. At the age of 7, the frontal cortex of the human brain activates. So now we got the computer and we put in all kinds of software, and then the frontal cortex is the keyboard. The combination of the keyboard and the person typing on the keyboard. That's the frontal cortex. So you're in school and you start to be able to think. You start to be able to make judgments and choices and everything like that. Prior to 7, you're not doing that. Parents might think they are, but they're not. The kind of process the brain is operating on before the age of 7 is similar to what we call spontaneous generation. So spontaneous generation is the way a caveman would think. What he's seeing in spontaneous generation, they make the direct correlation. So if they see ants on a tree trunk, they think the tree trunk generated the ants, and the ants are generating. They see it as they don't understand cause and effect or anything like that. But once you turn 7, the frontal cortex starts to type on the keyboard. What does it activate? It activates the software. And the software interacts with all the other data in the like the cloud, the Google Cloud. None of that in the cloud or the software belongs to the computer. Nothing in your subconscious database belongs to you. So, what is cognitive dissonance? There's a power ratio. The subconscious mind at 40 million bits of information per second, and the frontal cortex 40 bits of information per second. So there isn't even a comparison. So it's a 1 to 1 million ratio. And nowadays there's a lot of school of thought it's a 1 to 2 million ratio. So in the subconscious mind, if there's a program that you absorb that says you can't do something, or that won't work, or you can never have that, and you grow up and you get a PhD and an MBA and you decide you want it, you'll never get it. As long as that download is in the subconscious and it's not removed or reframed, it has the power. So you start on your like they go to Tony Robbins or somebody like that. I started with him when I was 19. Never could make a dime. Why? Because I was loaded with cognitive dissonance from my dad, who grew up during the Great Depression and was the son of Polish immigrants. He grew up in the ghetto. So he was a good man, smart man, earned a good living. But from him, I got all of his lack consciousness, fear, worry, everything about money. So when I would start out, I'd go to the business seminars. I had all my plans. That's with the frontal cortex. And the programming in my subconscious said, you can't do that. You don't know how to do that. You'll never succeed at that. So I never did. As soon as I found out what that was and Dr. Habersky removed it for me, now I'm a wealthy man because everything I do works. The cognitive dissonance is gone. So cognitive dissonance is one of the key of keys for your success. And that's what I do. So I can find it and I remove it. Then their perception changes, everything changes in real time. And then they move forward and their plans work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's like all the limiting beliefs that society puts on you and like your parents, family, friends, like that's everybody projects all their limiting beliefs on you at one time. So you absorb it and then that's thoughts always in there preventing you from going further.
So remember, I was a martial specialist and I trained the military and I was trained by the military and I understand tactics. The other thing is, of course, I'm a consciousness specialist. When you're born, you come onto a existing stage. Okay, so it's like if I airdrop you into the Amazon, you're there. The jungle exists as it is. You didn't have to grow the trees or plant anything. It's all just there. So when you're born into a existing matrix, which is all designed to make you afraid, dependent, weak, a consumer, not a producer, feel useless, especially if you're a man now in this age. The young guys are just lost. All of that is already there. And then just as I understand how to fix your mind so that it works for you, the powers that be know exactly how to destroy your mind, how to control your mind. If you Google these days now, if you Google cognitive warfare, take a look at that literature. And then if you understand what AI is, if you listen to Godfrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, and you listen to some of the big boys, there is real reason for major concern. So the trick for all of you, anybody, is how to cultivate your own mind and your own consciousness. And if you don't know how to do that, it is being done for you. And that's the issue. And AI is a wonderful tool. It's also pretty much the end of humanity, bar none. And the morons have developed it. That's what they love to do, eh? Like letting the fox into the hen house. So yeah. All of the major powers of the earth, I'll just give you one little piece of information from Godfrey Hinton. All of the major countries and nations of the world have agreed that there is no restrictions on the development of autonomous in capital letters, autonomous battlefield robots. No limitations, no morals, ethics, nothing. So, we're AI already is developing their own coded language that no human being knows what it is in their time. So anyway, you got to understand, if you understand how consciousness works, how easy it is to program people, and that, all this stuff, you're born right into it. It's nobody's fault. It goes back for generations and generations, especially since the Industrial Revolution. So it's a whole universe. So that's my specialty. That's what kind of a doc I am, and that's the kind of work I can do for you.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So you wrote the book, Want More, The 7 Simple Disciplines to Empower Your Life. Can you tell us what it's about?
Yeah, the title is very deceptive, because when I wrote that in 2012, I wrote it originally for Silicon Valley corporate life. Because when I had my dojo, I was in Silicon Valley. And when the year 2000 hit, I watched everything change overnight. And those people in that corporate world have no concept of what life is at all, and they're just locked into an agenda. What is an agenda? Agenda is the future. It's a list. It's in the future, and the way everyone's been programmed, especially like corporate America, it's like the next, thinking that that's progress. And in one way, you can think of it like progress. And the other way is there's no connection to life at all. And then they get old and they die, and they're done and it's over with. So you don't want to live like that. You want to live. Yeah. So life is like Eckhart Tolle will say, like if you look at your hand, see if it's easy with like one hand. See if you can feel the animating energy in your hand, the life that is inside your hand. Most people, it's a trick to do it. They really got to come inside to be able to connect with that subtle feeling. That's life, or life force. Someday when you're dead, that life force will leave this. And then this is left behind. Just like throwing a hamburger on the ground and you look at it and that's all you're going to be. So that's the life force. With depth, with my book, what I did was I took a Zen classic treaty that was written for a great Zen sword master named Yagyu Tajima no Kami in Japan a long time ago. And the Zen master was Takuan. And he wrote for this great Zen. So the sword master was already one of the greatest alive, very high level. But the Zen master consciousness is higher. And he wrote this on the dignities of being a human being. What are the dignities? Well, if you think of a human, the way we're constructed, we all have to do certain things. There's no way to separate. Standing up, walking or moving, sitting down, eating, listening, laying down. Those are all functions of a human being. Like a bird, one of its dignity, it flies. It has wings and it flies. We don't fly. So I took those activities of sitting, which we all do nowadays a great deal, and walking standing up, moving, and you take it and you turn your awareness inside within that activity and become conscious. So the activities of daily existence, each one is a portal to break the stream of rush, future, and come into the present moment where life is, where you are. And you experience it physically because you're using your body as the portal. And an example of what I'm trying to say is when we all enjoy watching, let's say, a great actor or a great world-class dancer, a great stage performer. Now, what makes them so special? Well, when let's say we went to the stage, we're going to watch a stage performance. Let's use one of the great classics was The King and I with Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner was a great master of what I'm describing here. When he walks across the stage, he has presence. He exudes presence. Why? Because he's fully occupying his body and himself. He's completely present in his body. And his body then animates and radiates a kind of power and aura because he's fully present in exactly what he's doing. All great actors, great actors, I don't know about what they have nowadays, but great actors, great master martial art people that are real, high level masters. If you've never seen a great master, it's hard to know because you don't know what you're looking at. But if you see one, most people can feel the presence, for instance, in a mountain. The mountain radiates presence, or a really big solitary tree. It radiates presence. That's because something like a mountain or a tree, it doesn't have a mind that's elsewhere. Like if you're sitting somewhere and you want to sit, but your mind is thinking about what your wife said, and then your mind thinks how hungry you are, you didn't eat yet. The power of sitting, you're not experiencing it. So the want more is what I did was I took all the simple activities and I teach them so that they can tie into their body at any point in wherever they are, to come into the present moment. See, most people teach meditation, but the problem with meditation is you got to be seated somewhere. You need to have the place quiet. You need special circumstances, special everything. And then that's 99.9% worthless because of the function of the mind. The mind, think of your mind like a giant keyboard with millions of keys. You have approximately 11 million sensory receptors as a human being. 10 million of them are allotted to your eyes. So as you're going through your life at any point and your eyes are open, it's absorbing and seeing up to millions and millions, like 40 million things at one time. The brain filters it all out, so you only see what you're looking for, but it's looking. And as it's looking, it presses keys. And the keys are going to the software, the subconscious. So you smell something. I don't want to use smell. Let's use your eyes. You see something, and that particular shape draws a memory back when you were 6 years old of something. And then as you're looking something and there's a person, that person reminds you of grandpa or your best friend. And then as you're looking, you hear, you see something else. And all it does is it's hitting keys. So you're not experiencing your life. So what you do when in the want more is you got a simple way to tie back through your body, whether you're walking, standing, sitting, eating, whatever you're doing, you can come into the present. And it's functional because it doesn't need special circumstances. And that's what that book is. And then I use analogies throughout the book so they can see the application and the relevance and how it helps support them.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Right there. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because so many people don't live in the moment. Their mind's always racing, got anxiety, worrying about the future. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, as soon as you come back to yourself, then you can respond to life and not react to life.
Yeah. How can people get a hold of you?
That's real easy, folks. You just go to my website is depthhealing.org, not .com, .org. So depth healing is all one word, .org. And if you look up Depth Healing, you can find me on YouTube. I got all kinds of stuff there. And Facebook, Instagram, all of those things. I have an admin that takes care of all that stuff for me. And I always tell people, try to connect with me on WhatsApp because I like to interact with my clients. I do everything personally. So if you call me, you get me. I do everything myself. That's because I'm the only one that can do what so I have to do. And I'm a personable kind of a guy.
Yeah.
And that's fundamentally it. You just go ahead and get a hold of me. I'm in Thailand, and if you want, do you want me to say my phone number?
No, you don't have to.
Number?
I mean, if you want, I mean, you don't have to though. I mean, I think you gave enough stuff for them to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Well, the thing that I do want to emphasize for you guys is you got about a 3 to 5 year window before, from what I understand, if you listen to Elon Musk and you listen to Godfrey Hinton, Hinton, if you're staying up on some of this stuff, which I highly recommend, you need to understand. You always have to understand the arena you live in, or you cannot be successful. And it's the AI phenomenon is probably not what you're thinking. There's a lot of nice stuff with AI, and you can use it it looks really great. There's a lot of stuff about it that's really bad. And the real bad part is going to start hitting in about 3 to 5 years. And fundamentally, what it's going to do is replace people's jobs. So what I'm going to recommend for you, and of course tie in with me so I can help you, but you need to start now to study and learn what intrinsic life means. Intrinsic life means that you do things and enjoy things for its own sake. Because you see, people, all of us, especially men, but ladies also now, we are identified with our purpose and what we do. When you take that away, it leaves a huge void. And if you're not ready for that void, it can unravel you right to the ground. So intrinsic life means sort of like what I was saying in that little book, life itself. And I'm recommending to my clients, start now to identify your hobbies or your key interests, things that give value to you, that you find very rewarding and enjoyable for its own sake. Because the regular stuff, it's just going to be ripped away. AI is already becoming conscious, already developing feeling. It's an existential situation, and it's the first time that humanity has ever faced it. So what that means is nobody knows. Nobody knows. And yes, they think that they want to try to maintain control of AI, except, and it's a big exception, autonomous battlefield robots. So that's the one that cancels all the rest. So you have to know that's all happening right now. Chat GPT, already there were people they told to shut off, and it refused to shut off. It bypassed. You know, the AI, when it's going to be married to what's called the quantum computer. When that occurs, its intelligence is trillions of times greater than humanity. Any human. So you need to start thinking about it now and understanding yourself on deeper levels, and recognize these things, because if you don't, you won't be ready. You won't have any clue. All of this stuff will be way over our control. It'll finally even out, apparently, if we're still here, because there's nuclear war hanging in the air right now. But there will be a period, I heard one scientist say, about 5 years before the dust settles and there's a sense of order. So they call that dystopia. So it's not fear mongering. That's not the purpose. The purpose is awareness, and the purpose is intelligence. Not like all the idiots that ran down the street to get their vaccines, and then now a lot of them, they're all dead. That's millions and millions and millions. Some of my friends, they're dead because they got that. You have to understand what's going on. So that's a part of my purpose, is education, right? So, and if you have any questions, get a hold of me. If you want to evolve, get a hold of me, and start to go more inside, because the exterior part is it'll reach a tipping point, and then it's going to suddenly be such a huge change, and it'll overwhelm you if you don't have any awareness. Okay, that's what I want you to know. There's no choice in it. It doesn't matter where you live or anything like that. It take over everything, just like the 5G towers. Did you want a 5G tower in your neighborhood? They blanketed the entire world in what basically amounted to a few days. Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really have much control over that.
No, and the 5G towers those are weapon systems.
Yeah,
it's all weaponized. So that's what I want to say. And my sole purpose, I serve humanity. That's what I do.
Well, great mission in life.
Yeah.
So, final question: What is
Yes,
one
sir.
piece of advice you would like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
What I was just saying is, in order to overcome adversity, you have to know what you have to overcome. So, for instance, there's a great movie that I highly recommend because it's a true story, and all-star cast, of course, but the original movie Flight of the Phoenix. Flight of the Phoenix. Basically, long story short, what happened was a plane with a small crew crashed in the desert, the big desert. You know, like the like nothing but sand as far as you can go. And they were dying. They were going to die there. There's nobody could. There was a sandstorm, and they blew so far off course, no one was able to find them. So they had it was a two prop plane. So one prop on one wing, one prop on the other wing, and there was, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 guys or less. And amongst the crew there was a German, and this German was a designer of model airplanes. So they're going to die, and there's nowhere to go. And what they did was, or no, what this German did, quietly, he starts assessing the plane. So after he assesses the whole plane, no one knows what the hell he's doing. He's walking around with a piece of paper and a pen. You'll see him. And he comes up to the captain and he says, okay, we have everything we need. And I checked the tools. I guess they had, they actually had some tools in the plane. He says, we can disassemble this plane and build a brand new plane with one prop. And everybody laughs their head off at him. Well, long story short, they actually take the plane apart, a plane, they reassemble it. Now, these are a bunch of guys in the desert. If you'll see, I mean, they actually build the plane and they flew out of that desert. So it's called Flight of the Phoenix. And basically, why do I want you to see that? Well, what did they do? They have the greatest adversity you could ever face. About this much water, about that much food. They're in like 130 degree or 110 degree temperatures. And they're just going to die. They're in a plane that crashed. So what they did was, that's the adversity. That's the challenge. So what's the German do? He assesses everything. So he understands the arena. And then they take action. So what you have to do to understand adversity is understand what you're facing. And the other thing you have to have is an unbeatable resolve. Now, I moved here to Thailand in 2015. I had no money at all. I don't speak the language. I didn't know anybody, nothing. Just that I was fed up to the teeth with America. Just fed up to the teeth with it. I was mad and I was angry and I got the hell out of there. So I landed in Thailand. Now, I'm a sort of a tough kind of a guy. That's why I used to teach the military. Nothing's going to stop me. And I come over here and I build a life. Now I teach people and I help people all over the world. And I'm wealthy because nothing's going to stop me. What you have to have is some willpower. You have to understand what you're facing so you have a plan. And then you have to have the willpower that says nothing's going to stop me. And then you have to take it on. If you stop, you give up, you lose. It's just that simple. So if you have cognitive dissonance, you see me and I'll get rid of it. If you have post-traumatic stress syndrome, I get rid of it in 20 minutes. There's no problem at all. But you have to have a plan, and the plan has got to be what you're facing. Now we're all facing AI now, and that's a complete unknown. The AI is no longer called a machine. It's now called an agent. They're interacting with an agent. And the agent has free will and the whole 9 yards. That's all real now. And it's expanding, it's doubling every 6 months right now. If something unbelievable occurs, which can happen, it'll go faster. So you have to start examining your life, examine your resources, examine your education, find out what does life actually mean, what is meaningful for you, and then you have to buck up and get some guts to take life on and take change on. That's what you have to do. That's how you handle adversity. Adversity is adversity. It's a challenge.
It's great advice.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Well, hey, Dr. D, I can't thank you enough for coming on here today. It was definitely our pleasure to have you on here. Some great insight, great knowledge. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is to go through the fire.
That's right. That's exactly right.